Friday, February 20th, Phil Spencer, 12 years running Xbox, 38 years at Microsoft, announced his retirement. Sarah Bond, his right hand and the heir apparent everyone expected to take over, well, she didn't actually get the job. She resigned. Both of them, same day, no public warning. And the person Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella put in charge of one of the three biggest gaming platforms on earth. Who do you think? The head of Microsoft's CoreAI division. And she opened her first letter to Xbox staff with a promise that Microsoft would not flood our ecosystem with Soulless AI Slop. The new Xbox CEO from the AI division used the words Soulless AI Slop. Stay with me because that phrase is doing a lot more work than it looks like. Real quick, before we start, and I say this every few episodes because I mean it every time, I love technology. I have a software and IT background. I do find AI genuinely and deeply fascinating from a tech side, right? The models, what they can actually do, what went into these types of problems in order to build out the LLMs and machine learning, the real problems they solve. Like, I do use AI tools. This stuff is cool. I'm not here to tell you AI is bad, but I am here because I care, because when a technology this powerful gets deployed irresponsibly by companies as big as Microsoft, because we're talking about Xbox today, the people who get hurt are real. Developers, consumers, creators, and a genuinely transformative technology gets poisoned by bad actors who were only ever in it for the money. And if nobody calls this out, it doesn't get done right. And I want this technology to be respectfully and responsibly done right. I don't know if that makes any sense, but hopefully it does, because we're going to be moving into Microsoft detonating Xbox. Welcome to the Microslop Chronicles episode 4. I wasn't planning on this one being episode 4, but it dropped in my lap. So, new episode 4, I guess will be, the episode 4 is working on, I guess will just be episode 5, because there's so much Microslop to go around. Anyway, you know who Phil Spencer is, so I'm not going to be doing a full biography here. What I want to focus on is how this ended, because I think that's what matters here. Spencer spent 12 years rebuilding Xbox from a genuine low point. Game Pass at launch was a real consumer win. Backward compatibility was impressive, and he fought to keep console gaming alive inside a company that didn't always seem interested. He nearly tripled the size of Microsoft gaming through acquisitions like Bethesda, Activision Blizzard, but the last few years eroded most of that goodwill. Tango Gameworks, the team behind a beloved award-winning game called Hi-Fi Rush, was closed. Perfect Dark was canceled. Everwild was canceled. Layoffs swept through Bethesda, Activision, Xbox Game Studios just repeatedly, and Game Pass prices jumped 50%. Console market share sat at around 31%, while PlayStation dominated and Xbox revenue dropped nearly 10% last quarter, steeper than Microsoft's own internal projections. Now, a lot of this is going to point to the fact that bro is a failure at his job. If you're buying up all these studios, if you're launching all these projects that people are excited about and think that these are good moves, and then you end up having to cancel them and close the studios, that's on you, bro. So I'm not saying he shouldn't be retiring. Just putting that out there. It's whether or not the replacement is going to be good. Here's a detail that tells you actually how this went down. In July 2025, 7 months ago, Microsoft publicly stated Spencer isn't retiring anytime soon. Sarah Bond was posting on LinkedIn on behalf of Xbox just hours before news of her resignation broke. This was not a graceful, well-planned succession. That was a Friday afternoon news dump, and the person universally expected to take over didn't even get the promotion. She walked, right? So it seems like Phil Spencer didn't leave because he felt ready. He left because the company around him didn't want him there anymore. And whether or not it's because he was interested in changing Xbox or building something good, I have no idea. Press X to doubt here, but the replacement Nadella chose ultimately tells you exactly what the company is interested in. Asha Sharma joined Microsoft in 2024 as president of the CoreAI product division. And before that, she was COO of Instacart. Before that, VP of product at Meta. So, I don't know about you, but I don't really see any game history. I don't really see any game industry background whatsoever. And by her own words in Variety, she says she has a lot to learn. Now, I want to be fair because she... just because she doesn't game doesn't mean Xbox is dead. That reaction feels very lazy, and I'm just not interested in it. And I'm just not interested in that per se, even though they are a lot of red flags. Matt Booty, promoted to Chief Content Officer, and her direct number 2 has spent his entire career in games. So he's the one actually in the room with the studios, and an outsider CEO paired with a seasoned creative chief can work. So that structure isn't automatically a red flag. However, I understand a lot of apprehension. The context around this is what I think the whole story is about. Satya Nadella has spent the last 2 years making it undeniable that Microsoft is an AI company first. Copilot forced into Windows, Office, Teams, Edge, whether users wanted it or not. $15 billion ended up being thrown into OpenAI. Division after division reorganized around AI priorities. When Nadella looks at Xbox, he doesn't see a gaming platform. Kidding me? No, he sees a distribution network with hundreds of millions of users, decades of beloved IP, and enormous amounts of behavioral data. He sees, in his own words from the announcement memo, growth engines. So when he needs new Xbox leadership, he reaches into his AI division and hands it to his AI product chief. This is not a coincidence. It was strategy made visible. Now, Sharma's opening statement was genuinely more thoughtful than I expected, and I do want to give her real credit for it, saying, "We will not chase short-term efficiency or flood our ecosystem with soulless AI slop. Games are and always will be art crafted by humans." She told Variety that she has no tolerance for bad AI. She cited Firewatch as the kind of experience she wants Xbox to make, a specific human, emotionally driven indie that isn't a brand-safe talking point. She promoted Booty instead of another outside hire. She committed to console hardware and the return of Xbox. So these are the right things to say, and I am choosing to take them somewhat at face value because of cynicism for its own sake isn't useful, and she might genuinely mean it. But, so there's always a but, look at that phrase carefully. No soulless AI slop is not no AI. It draws a line between bad AI and, by implication, good AI, with Microsoft getting to decide where that line is. The same company that decided forcing Copilot on Windows users was acceptable. The same company that shut down studios making successful, beloved games in the name of efficiency. And here's what I know for a fact. You don't open your first letter as CEO by preemptively reassuring people about a concern that isn't on the table. That phrase exists because someone in that room said people are going to push back on the AI angle, and someone else said you need to get ahead of it. Reassurance and accountability are completely different things. One is a sentence in a press release, and the other is a structural commitment that can actually be enforced. Right now, we only have one of those and not a lot of faith that Microslop, excuse me, I will use their real name here, it's not got a great track record of understanding that difference, do they? So why does this episode exist? Why isn't Xbox leadership change a Microslop Chronicle story? Because I feel like this is the same playbook, just running at the leadership level instead of the product level. This series has never been about hating AI. It's about tracking a specific repeatable corporate pattern. Take a technology with genuine real value, and AI does have genuine real value. And deploy it in a way that prioritizes short-term efficiency and revenue extraction over humans affected, or whether or not the technology can even be efficient or solve problems. Like, did the problems exist before you shoved AI into it? Like, all these real questions that should be asked aren't being asked because clearly these big corporations are just seeing dollar signs and trying to avoid sunk cost fallacy. And all of this, when you have like and then they manage the rollout with this reassurance language, frame it as innovation, and keep the accountability structures just vague enough that nobody can hold you to anything. I call it out because I love technology and I want to see this type of technology used right. Every irresponsible deployment, every creative worker blindsided by AI replacement, every consumer pushed into a product they never asked for poisons the well. It makes the honest conversation so much harder to have, and it makes it easier for bad actors to hide behind the legitimate applications. Think about what Microsoft Gaming actually is right now. It's 40 plus studios: Halo, Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Minecraft, Call of Duty, hundreds of millions of Game Pass subscribers, decades of player behavioral data. That is an extraordinary creative and commercial infrastructure. And the person now running all of it came from the division building AI models and agents, reporting to a CEO who has made AI the identity of his entire company, and AI isn't going as far as the industry needs it to. Now you have a whole level of access to data for training. The potential trajectories here aren't hypothetical worst case scenarios. They're the logical outputs of the incentive structures that already exist applied to assets Microsoft already owns. AI generated content trained on decades of licensed franchise material, generative tools pushed to studios as productivity aids, which done thoughtfully can genuinely help smaller teams do more, but implemented in ways that justify headcount cuts instead of enhancing what developers are making and ultimately adding more workload to the developers that remain, because AI is just not what these big companies want it to be. You have personalized monetization systems built on behavioral data optimized for spending rather than for player enjoyment. What would actually change my posture on this? I don't know. Transparency, real specific disclosure about when and how AI is being used in game development, structural protections for creative workers at those studios. I don't know, not reassuring words, like actual commitments that have some teeth. Accountability that doesn't evaporate the moment quarterly numbers start slipping. I don't even feel these are radical demands either. They're what responsible deployment of AI technology could look like. And the reason I'm saying them out loud, episode after episode, I think is really simple. If nobody asks, nobody answers. And this technology is too important or too powerful or too whatever to just let slide by default. When the bubble ultimately pops, AI isn't going away. AI is going to settle into something, and I want it to settle into something positive, not whatever it is doing now at the hands of Microsoft and Nvidia and OpenAI and all of these just crazy people that just want your money. The developers making these games, I think, deserve better than uncertainty and vague promises. The players deserve better. And honestly, the technology itself deserves better than being deployed as some stupid cost-cutting mechanism with a good PR wrapper that can't actually do what it's being promised to do. Here we are, right? The Phil Spencer era of Xbox. Messy, flawed, genuinely undermined from above, but hopefully rooted in actually caring about games in some capacity. Yeah, that era is over. What replaces it is an AI division executive hand-selected by Satya Nadella, running one of the 3 major gaming platforms on Earth, the exact moment Microsoft is betting its entire identity on AI being the future of everything. She opened with the right words. I hope she means them, but words aren't structures. Words without actions is dead, and this channel exists to watch the gap between what gets said, what actually happens, because that gap is consistently where the people who can least afford it get left behind. And I want to do an episode 12 months from now called, okay, Xbox actually did it right. And studios shipping great games, developers who feel protected, AI used transparently to help human creativity rather than quietly replace it, turning everything we love into AI slop. That would be genuinely fun to make. I would love to make that. Whether it exists, though, depends on decisions being made right now. So we need to keep paying attention. We need to keep calling this stuff out, and we need to keep pushing for accountability and pushing for what we want in the industry. And we need to guide AI, the implementation of AI, to be done in the ways that would benefit society as a whole, not destroy it. So if that's your kind of thing, go ahead and hit subscribe. I talk a lot about technology. I talk a lot about gaming. I want to actually start diving into the technology that AI is built on, that makes AI and machine learning work. I am planning on doing some coding streams because I need to keep my coding skills up while I'm trying to find work. I also am wanting to start some gaming streams, a little bit of everything here. If that interests you, we'd love to have you here. And let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely curious whether you are reading Sharma's opening statement as a real commitment or as brand management, because I do think that's legitimately an interesting question with no clean answer yet. Are you kind of more in agreement with me, where you think AI has a place when done right? Do you hate AI altogether? And if so, why? Like, there's definitely a lot to hate about it, but I kind of feel like let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'd love to hear from you guys. But anyway, that is all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and peace out. Bye.